Hi, my name is Alanya and I'm a teacher. I teach special education math to middle schoolers, so 6th to 8th graders. I'm finishing out my first year teaching. I came up with a list of 10 things that I've learned throughout this school year. And it's crazy how fast time has flown. I know that during certain months I was like, why is time moving so slow? And I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get to the end of this first year. But now that I'm here, there's less than a month of school, I thought I'd share 10 things that I've learned. So before I get into the 10 things, I just wanted to give some background information on who I am and where I'm from. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois. I graduated last year, June 2017, from DePaul University. I studied Mandarin Chinese and psychology, so I'm not an education major. 2 days after I graduated, I actually drove down to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and began training to teach here. So now I teach in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And just to give some context of the school that I teach at, as of October 1st, 2016, there were 276 students enrolled at the school that I work at. There was 5% American Indian, 0% Asian, 66% African American, 16% Hispanic, 7% Caucasian, 0% Pacific Islander, is 56% male and 44% female. And 23% of our school is on IEPs, so that means they qualify for special education services. 4% are English language learners, and 95% qualify for free reduced lunch. So we are considered like a high poverty school. So the first thing that I want to talk about, the first thing that I learned very early on, my first lesson, was that I had to be the consistency that my kids needed. So that's not something I understood very well. I wasn't a very consistent person before moving to Tulsa, before, teaching. So it just forced me to get my life together because I have to. Their children's lives depend on it. I have to be the consistency that they may or may not have in their home lives around them. So the second thing that I can proudly say that I learned is unconditional love for my kids. So I don't even think I understood what unconditional love was, but I definitely learned unconditional love for my kids, just because no matter what they did, at the end of the day, they could still come back to me and I would still want to teach them. I would still, be excited to see them. And some of the things that they've said to me have really hurt me, and I've had to face a lot of insecurities, which I'll talk about later. Like, they've said some racial things, but at the end of the day, I've just learned forgiveness. I've learned over time that kids are kids, and as much as some of the things they say really hurt me and I have to explain that to them, I'm also teaching them that right now. And so I can't just go straight into being upset, and I have to realize that I am shaping them in their reactions, in the way that they understand the world. So with that, I have to be patient. The third thing I learned as a first year teacher is patience. So before teaching, I would not say I was patient. I would actually consider myself very impatient, but through teaching, I've learned patience. And it's interesting because now all the time people, once they find out I'm a special education teacher, they'll be like, wow, you must have so much patience, or you must be so patient. And they always comment on the patience aspect. But the crazy thing is, that's not something that I would consider a quality that I have. So it's something that I definitely have learned, and I'm still learning. And I think it's just in dealing with children and working with children that you just have to learn patience, because it just takes time for them to learn. It takes time for behaviors to change. And so you just have to be patient with that process. The fourth thing that I learned is that you will be changed and tested in your first year of teaching. My kids forced me to face some of the deepest insecurities that I've had, and maybe reflect on the person that I've become, because they would comment on everything, they would notice everything. It forced me to really have to address some of the things that maybe I'd pushed back from addressing, such as my race and discrimination around that, or prejudice around that. And so like because they notice everything, they really do. They know, if they can sense a change in my behavior, they'll walk in and be like, oh wow, like Miss Wong is in a good mood today, like let's be good. Or they'll be like, Miss Wong is in a bad mood, like, like I wonder what happened. They notice my eye rolling. They were the first ones to comment on that. And I didn't even realize I rolled my eyes that often. Of course I realized when the students rolled their eyes at me, and then when they were like, you roll your eyes all the time, I was like, wait, do I? The fifth thing that I learned is that so many times, so many of the issues that I had with my kids was due to miscommunication. For example, one of the hardest hitting miscommunications that I had to slowly unweave was the differences in showing care and concern. So for example, if students were not behaving in class, I would call their parents and have them stay after school to tutor them. And so they would see this as like me picking on them. They would think, like, why are you always picking on me? I might, go get them during their lunch and bring them to my classroom to try to work and catch up on that work. And then when they said, like, I hate you, I hate being in this class, I took that as like a negative thing. I took it so personally. So I was showing my love, care, and concern through, spending extra time with them. But because I wasn't explaining that, they took it as I was picking on them. And they were showing me their love and, they're opening up to me by saying that they didn't like me as a test to see if I'd leave. Because so many times, so many teachers leave here. There's just like a misunderstanding of actions and behaviors that if you don't explain, like could easily be interpreted in a different way and in a way that you don't mean for it to come off as. The sixth thing that I learned is that teaching is tough, especially in your first year. You might cry. You might feel so frustrated that you want to give up. But at the end of the day, you cannot give up. You cannot. This year I know about 15 teachers that have quit. And that's really disheartening to me because I know the effects of teachers leaving a school. And at my school, we had 2 teachers leave for the same position, the same role. And it's like our kids are seeing that and are thinking, internalizing that like people don't want to teach us. This is the first year I'm experiencing it, but they've probably been dealing with that for years because the retention in Tulsa of teachers is not high. The retention of teachers in Oklahoma is not high. My 7th lesson, and something that I wish I had learned earlier on, is to accept help. Accept help from more seasoned teachers, from coaches, from your administration, and 2, ask for help. So many times I felt like I had to figure everything out, know everything. But the fact of the matter is there's so much that I don't know, that I need to know, and I won't find that out unless I talk to people who've been doing this for a while, people who've been working at my school for a while, even if it's not teachers, like finding out information from maybe paraprofessionals, the cafeteria lady, the janitor, just to gather information. So ask for help and don't be ashamed of it. The 8th thing that I learned is to accept disorganization and to become adaptable, because like I said in the last point, there's a lot that I didn't know going in, and you just have to find out as you go through it. Instead of complaining about what's not going right, what was not organized well, roll with it. And I've just learned to embrace, like, I'll find out when I find out. The 8th thing I learned is when you're feeling incompetent, when you're feeling insecure about teaching, which I want to generalize, I want to believe that most first-year teachers do, despite whatever preparation they got or, studying education, having experience in the classroom. When you're feeling low and bad, remember to take care of yourself. Remember to take time for yourself. Invest in hobbies, things that make you happy. Whether it's just reading a book every Friday night, or whether it's going out and having a good time with your friends, Like, and that goes to the point of like, hang out with your friends even when you don't feel like it. Because I know for me, I went through a period of time that I just like didn't want to hang out with people. I just wanted to be alone, and I thought that that was the best way to deal with my emotions and my feelings and my insecurities, but I was wrong. The 10th and last thing I learned is that it will get better. I used to hate hearing that from second year teachers I knew. I was like, it's not getting better. Like, you keep saying it's gonna get better and it's not. So stop. Like, I was just tired of hearing it. And then I realized it's not that maybe the kid's behavior changes. Sometimes the only thing that changes is your perspective. And that's what got better for me. My perspective got better. And so that influenced my experience of teaching and daily life, because I wasn't internalizing things with a negative lens. I was interpreting it with a more understanding, more compassionate perspective. And so I think that when people say things get better, I had originally interpreted it as like the situation will get better, my kids' behavior will change. And there is a little bit of that, you know, with time. After they've been with you for a couple months, they might feel like they can trust you more. After they've been with you for a year, you've built that relationship. But I think beyond that, even if their behavior doesn't change, even if the school situation that you're in, that, you know, that you're struggling with doesn't change, I think your perspective of it makes all the difference. You know, despite some of the things that I mentioned sounding potentially negative or being interpreted as negative, I do want to say that teaching has been the most transformative experience in my life, and that I've learned and grown so much, and in ways that, you know, I don't think I was ready to grow, but also that were necessary for me to grow. And I think teaching will do that to you. And it's especially hit me because I went right into it right after graduating. So I just wanted to share that, although some of the things I mentioned can be interpreted as more negative things, or some of the experiences I've experienced have not been the most positive, I do want to say that overall, like, I really do enjoy teaching. I've learned that I really enjoy teaching math, and I have such an investment for my kids that I couldn't have imagined. So teaching is so rewarding.